So I've just driven down about 3 hours south of Sydney, and I'm in this quiet little patch of bushland. I'm here because I bought this survival kit, which I want to test and try out. It's $50, and it looks a bit like a toy, but at the same time it's only meant for a single use kind of emergency thing, so we'll see how it works. It's got a pencil, waterproof paper, flint fire steel, cotton wool, button compass, whistle, survival mirror, wire saw, multi-tool, snare wire, fishing kit, safety pins, duct tape, zip lock, poly bag, braid nylon cord, and a carabiner. So in theory it should be pretty easy for me to last the night out here with all that stuff. I've got the creek next to me, which is water sorted, so the second thing I'll have to be getting onto is trying to build a shelter. Whether the wire saw that comes in this is going to be much good for that, we'll just have to find out. After the shelter's built, I'll make a fire, and then finally, if I've got some time, I'll try to find some food. So let's crack this thing open and see how it goes. There's a mirror, which is wet. So most of the stuff in here is actually protected by some plastic. There is lucky because it's full of water. So waterproof thing obviously isn't waterproof. We've got the whistle, that's pretty loud, some duct tape, cotton wool, there's our fire starter which is wet but it'll dry off easily, that's fine. Pencil, here's a knife, not going to be able to do too much with that. Yeah, okay. Scissors. There's the snare wire. Fishing kit, which doesn't look too bad. Here's the wire saw and the compass. Some sewing line. A Ziploc bag, a single Ziploc bag. This is waterproof paper. So that's what that is. Brilliant. So I was going to take a drink just here, but the water's moving really slowly and it's quite stagnant. It's far more likely to have bacteria or virus in water that's like this than in steady flowing water. That's one thing I think the survival kit definitely could have included was some water purification tablets. If this was the only option to drink, then I probably would be drinking it, because in an overnight kind of situation, you're probably not going to get diarrhea in the time frame before you get rescued, but you could die of dehydration. So it's better to drink dirty water than go without and not drink at all. I've been walking along this riverbank behind me now for, I don't know, 500 metres or so. And I found a spot I'm pretty happy with to make my shelter. So, because this is just a quick overnight, I'm going to do a simple lean-to shelter. Basically, it's just this one main beam that's stuck into this tree just there. And on either side of it, like coming down that way and that way, I'm just going to get a bunch of like loose dead sticks, ferns, or just any basically debris on the ground that I can use to insulate and also waterproof the shelter. So I've been collecting these palm fronds to use as kind of a waterproofing on my shelter, and they're just perfect for it. You can see they've got these grooves in it so that the water all runs off that way. The only problem with collecting these is it's like the perfect hiding spot for snakes and spiders, and they're also covered in these barbs. which are really sharp, and I've already copped a couple of them in me. But I've got to say, in terms of making a shelter, this is pretty perfect material. So, speaking of snakes, I've just lifted up this one and found the remnants of a snake skin. One's already been shed, so definitely around and something to look out for. Shelter's coming along really well now. You can see there's still a few holes and gaps and stuff that need to be filled up, but to do that I'm just literally getting in the dirt, piling up all these leaves and then just chucking them over the top. And that's basically what the debris shelter is, just a simple kind of teepee shape with a bunch of stuff chucked on top to keep out the wind and rain. So another half hour or so on this and should be good. Okay, so the shelter is almost built up around me. I just need one more thing before I'm happy with it. I need some insulation from the ground. So the ground can suck out a lot of heat at night if you're just laying straight on the dirt. So I'm just collecting this bed of ferns. I'm going to use that as just a bit of a ground cover. It's also way more comfortable to sleep on the ferns than it is to sleep in the dirt. I've got the shelter now finished to a level where I'm happy to spend the night in it. So here's your little tour. Just got this bed of ferns that goes all the way to the back, and then as you can see up top where the majority of the rain would be coming down, it's pretty tight together. Now it's not going to keep you completely watertight in here, but it will keep the majority of the wind and rain and cold away. So for one night, I think this would do pretty well. Now the shelter's all finished up behind me, the next priority is going to be to make a fire. The survival kit comes with a flint and steel and some cotton wool, so it should be pretty easy to get one going. So I'll start a little fire up and then maybe go for a fish or something, see if those fish hooks work. To get the fire going, we've just got the cotton wool for tinder from the survival kit and then this little fire steel. Fire steels are really easy to use once you get the hang of them, so it can take like half an hour or something. That's like at a home setting to kind of get the hang of them and get used to using them. So when they come brand new, these fire steels, they've got this black coating. I'm not sure if the camera will focus there, but you need to remove that black coating and get that silvery kind of surface before they start working. But once you get that off, it's just as simple as it's really easy to make some sparks. So I'm going to fluff up the cotton wool a little bit and then get some sparks on it and boom, we should have a fire. As you can see behind me, got my shelter built, got the fire going, gonna let that go out. Next priority is to go get something to eat, as I'm getting pretty hungry. I'll see, I might be able to forage something, or we've got those fish hooks and line to take as well. So I'm sure I'll be able to get something for dinner, just not too sure what. What I'm gonna do is just follow this river creek thing down, hopefully towards the ocean, and you should get something around there. So as I was walking along this river, just found this tiny little dead bait fish. I think it killed it because it's like this water's like 30 degrees, so it's probably way too hot for it in here, but that should be some bait, so hopefully we can use that to catch something bigger. So I followed the creek all the way down back to the ocean. It should be the perfect spot to try and have a bit of a forage around and maybe throw in a fish hook with this bait I've got as well too. So hopefully I'll be able to get some dinner around here. After walking around this entrance to the lake and having a bit of a look, I haven't found much, but what I have found is a lot of this warrigal greens. This stuff tastes just like spinach, but the thing is with it is that you have to blanch it in boiling water for around a minute or so. Considering I don't have a pot or any way to boil water, that's quite difficult at the moment. So I think long term you could think about making a wood or stone kind of bowl, and then you could use hot rocks from the fire to boil that water. But considering I'm only here a night, I don't think I'll be able to eat this stuff just due to the time involved, which is a shame because there is heaps of it. I found a quick little snack just here. You can see in there these little berries. Those white ones are ripe to eat. So it's got like a very large seed right in the center. You can see there, but the outside's completely edible. It's kind of tart, not much flavour, but it's a little snack. Something to keep me going a bit. So I'll eat a few of them and carry on. I've just found another wild edible after those berries. This one's actually quite tasty and a bit more substantial. It's called pig face. You can see it just there. So it's actually this succulent, and it has these fruits on it here. They taste just like a kiwi fruit, and as you can see, they're a decent size. So you get enough of them, you're not hungry. So the fishing kit has a few small hooks, a few sinkers, a few swivels, and a spool of line. We'll get this rigged up and then see if we can catch something. So I've rigged up my fishing line with the bait from the fish I've just got before. It's a really tiny piece of fishing line they've given me. It's like 2 meters, so it's pretty useless basically. I put a hook and a little sinker on it, and yeah, got the bait there. So I'll chuck in this stream behind me and see if we can catch something. But with 2 meters of fishing line, you can't really do a lot. So a bit disappointed with that one. Might be eating pig face for dinner and no fish. We'll see how we go. The fishing was basically a big flop. You can't really do much with 2 meters of line. I mean, you may as well just hold the fish hook in your hand and hope the fish grabs it that way. So, I don't know. I guess that shows the kit a bit. It's not as well thought out as it could be. So I'm going to keep foraging. I'm just right on the rocks now. I'm going to grab some of the old mermaid's necklace. It's better than nothing. Not great. Shelter behind me, little fire going. I'll spend the night here, wake up in the morning, have a bit of a look around, and then head home after that. Sitting in the shelter, kind of trying to fall asleep. It's quite dark now, but the stars are amazing, and there's no moon, so it's a beautiful sky. No fire because it's quite hot, and there's no mozzies too, so that's a plus. I'm gonna try get some sleep and then head out tomorrow morning. I've just woken up because I got really cold in the night. It's about 3:30 or so. Just got a quick little fire going, which is pointing right back into the shelter here, warming the whole space up, so all good. Gonna get back to sleep and finish the night off. Alright, first night. I just woke up, not sure what time it is, but it was a pretty good night in the shelter. It kept me pretty warm. I did shoot towards like the back in there to kind of be in the smaller space and keep it a bit more insulated. I also did get up twice to get the fire going, which kept me a lot warmer.
I think it did get quite cold last night, so all good. Gonna walk out of here and head back to my bike and go home. It was fun to come out here just with this, just purely as a exercise to see if I could do it, but I don't know, it's a bit junk. None of the quality of anything is that good, and there are different items that I would personally prefer. I mean, a space blanket would just seem like it makes so much more sense for an emergency kit. Keeps you warm, keeps you out of the rain. It's just ready to go right there. But I mean,
in that I saw a few fish, but the fishing gear that they've given you in this little kit, it's useless basically. They've put it in there purely just to say that it's there. 2 meters of fishing line really just isn't enough to be any good for anything. So I thought I'd have a look at the other stuff that's probably surplus while I'm on the subject of that. So the mirror, it's actually a really shiny, quite bright mirror. Great for signalling to someone if you are lost and trying to get attention, but it's also really good if you get little splinters or things in your teeth, just things in hard to see places that can be incredibly annoying if you've got no way of knowing what they are or getting them out. There's that. Little knife is tiny. I mean, it's so small. It is sharp, it's got the scissors on it, and it would be useful for some, I don't know, really kind of minor light work that you wouldn't be doing any carving or much of anything really with this knife. So again, probably not much use. The wire saw actually worked pretty well. There is a bit of a technique to using these, but no, that was quite good. Safety pins I don't think I'm going to use for anything. The whistle, super loud. That's another probably pretty good thing. That's probably one of the most useful kind of survival items in there. Duct tape, I haven't touched it. More of the fishing gear. This little fire steel, it worked quite well. I'm pretty happy with that. You get heaps of fires out of that. You could light literally hundreds of fires. Get it wet. These things are awesome. The snare wire, they've only really given you enough wire for one snare. I would make a snare, but they are illegal in New South Wales, and because I'm not in a real survival situation, I'm not going to risk doing that. That's really a kind of overnight way of trapping something to eat, and one snare you'd have to be really lucky to catch something. So again, it's kind of like a bit of a gimmick item, although you could use it to make a snare if you had to. I've got this string, which I was tempted to use as well as the fishing line, but it's not that strong, and I feel like if there's a fishing kit in there, you should be able to go fishing with the fishing kit without having to steal from the sewing kit. Then there's the Ziploc bag. I don't know why they put that in there. I mean, look at it. It's probably like 500 mils of volume. It's already got a hole in it. Yeah, useless. A little compass, which, I don't know, it's probably not going to do you any good. And then finally, the waterproof paper with the pencil that can write on it. Again, not something you're ever going to really use in a survival situation. So, the good, and the case, which also isn't watertight, which it was meant to be. So really only half of the stuff in this kit is any good. The compass, Ziploc bag, sewing stuff, waterproof paper and pencil is all kind of useless, as well as the case that it all came in. Now the flint and steel and the cotton ball is great to make a fire with. The wire saw works pretty well. Duct tape, you can't fault. There's always a use for it. The mirror's good, the whistle's good, and the knife's good. So for $50, you're getting what you could probably pay about $5 on Amazon for. So yeah, I would personally not buy this. So when you tally up the cost of the actual use for items, there's literally probably $10 worth of stuff there, and it's all pretty cheap, kind of Chinese quality. You'd be far better off just getting a real nice a flint and steel, and then a decent mirror and whistle, and you'd be good to go. So I wouldn't recommend this survival kit. It's more of a toy or like a gimmick kind of item than actually something genuinely useful. And if it was, it would be far overpriced because it's just basically made up of very cheap components. So that's alright though. I got the